This is a really informal video to show you the tension and how it affects the rise of your bread. I'm going to give you a recipe right now. Feel free to pause the screen and take it down if you want to use one, or any recipe will work here. Just follow along with whatever your favorite bread recipe is. In a large bowl, I'm using the flour, which is 2 cups or 300 grams. To that, I'm adding in a half a teaspoon or 2.5 grams of salt, and I'm adding in 2 tablespoons or 25 grams of sugar. The sugar is optional, but I will tell you, if you don't put in sugar, you won't get a nice browning. I'm now putting in just 1 egg, 50 grams. To that, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons or 30 milliliters of oil. And finally, I'm going to add in a half a cup or 120 milliliters of water. And to that, I've added in 1 teaspoon of yeast, and I just like to dissolve it because I don't like the little tiny flakes of yeast, even though you don't have to dissolve it. So that's just a personal preference. And now all I'm going to do is just mix it together briefly, and then I'm going to knead it on the counter for about 10 minutes. Now this is a really great recipe to put in a stand mixer, or also to put in a food processor, so you don't have to do this by hand. I'm just showing people who don't have access to equipment that you can do this easily by hand. I took a timer, it took me 7 minutes to get it kneaded to the right consistency. And as you can see, there's like some crumbs. Don't worry, as you work, it will get incorporated into the bread. And I also found that it's pretty sticky in the beginning, but don't be tempted to add any more flour. I'm using it like a sponge, I'm kind of funny. Anyway, don't be tempted to add any more flour if you can help it, because then you'll end up with a really dense loaf, and this is already a pretty dense bread. To help you get used to working with bread and tension, I thought that we'd make it a little less sticky than I usually make. So this won't take long. If you've not kneaded bread before, I do have some videos I can link below on how to knead bread that will help you. Here it is what you're looking for though. You want it to be really nice and stretchy. It doesn't tear easily if you try to stretch it. You can actually see through it if you hold it up to light. And it's just a nice supple dough. You'll really enjoy working with this recipe. Now, if you are having a lot of trouble with it being too sticky, add just a little bit of flour. This is practicing tension, so you don't want to have to be fussing around with sticky dough. And as you can see, people will tell you to do the poke test to see if dough is ready. If you poke dough right before it starts to rise, it's not going to help teach you anything. So don't do the poke test until it's been a while, and I'll show you that later. I'm covering it with a lid. You can use a towel, you can use saran wrap, whatever you want to use. Just set it aside, wait at least an hour. Mine was about an hour and a half. And as you can poke into it, if it holds the imprint but doesn't collapse, then the dough is ready. If I would push this and it would bounce back immediately, the dough wouldn't be ready. So and that's not a hard, fast rule, because some doughs are really soft, and if you push into it, it collapses. So this is not a hard, fast rule. Look more for double in size. When you press on it, it feels like it's bouncy. And then when you pull it out of the bowl, it should give. It should be stretchy like this. It shouldn't just collapse. If it completely collapses on you, you over rose it a bit, and that's okay. You'll know next time to not rise it that long. So what I'm going to do is just divide this into 8 equal pieces. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you me weighing out 8 equal pieces. I'm just going to show you the beginnings on how you can do this. If the dough is sticking like it is here, just take a little bit of time and try to get all of it out. You don't have to do this, I just don't like to waste. So that's up to you. What you'll want to do is take it and you want to weigh your dough if you're going to measure it. And then you take that measurement and you divide it by 8. Hopefully, if you follow the recipe and you didn't lose a bunch of flour, you'll have around 500 grams. So it'll be about 62 grams for each piece of dough ball. But here in America, we don't use a lot of scales, so just eyeball it, divide it into 8 pieces, and you can be pretty aggressive with this dough. As you can see, I'm just manhandling this and I'm tearing it apart, and I'm not really caring what it looks like. And if you want to measure it out by the grams like I'm doing here, you can tear this dough to bits, because it's a very nice gluten-rich dough that's going to hold up its shape well. And I'll point out that I'm using all-purpose flour because I can't find bread flour right now and it works just perfectly fine with this. So the first thing you want to do is roll the dough into a nice little ball. Cup it with your hand and then just roll it. If you're having trouble with this, just give it a little try. You'll eventually get the hang of it. The reason why I gave you the measurements I did was because it has a little bit of stickiness and it'll stick to the counter and help you do this. If you add too much flour, you're going to have a harder time working with this. And you just want to do this for all 8 pieces. Once you get all the 8 pieces into a nice little round ball, that's already created some of the tension for you, and that's already going to help you make the dough rise better. And you could actually bake these just like this and you wouldn't have to do any more. And you get a nice gentle rise to this, and I'll show you that you can also do 2 at once if you're coordinated. I'm not very coordinated, as you can see here, so I'm going to come back and roll that one. And this is the last piece, and I'm not going to roll this one at all. This one's going to be the one that I'm just going to smush out, and we're going to see what happens and compare it at the end. I always like to have some kind of control piece to it. And it's sticking to the counter a little bit. And as I said, I did want it to be a little sticky so you would have some tension that would be easier to create. If you had a really dry dough, it would just slide all over the counter. And I've really smashed that dough down just so you can see what happens. So now I'm going to roll it again. And this one, I'm going to show you how to make it into like a hot dog shape, or if you would put it into a bread tin, you would do the same thing with a larger loaf. You tuck in the sides, and then you push up and pull down. Push up and pull down. And then you just kind of roll it a little bit. Now this one I'm not going to put as much tension in because I want you to see what happens if you don't put a lot of tension versus some. And can you see it's kind of like a hot dog shape? If you're making a loaf of bread, you just have a big giant shape just like that. This one I'm just going to roll into a circle. As you can see, I'm just doing the same thing I did before, but I'm just creating a little tension, and I'm rolling it until I can feel it really start to build up tension. As you practice this, you'll see what I'm talking about. This next one, I'm just going to roll it in my hands and make a ball. And I'm going to show you the difference between just making a ball like this, and I'm going to flatten it down a little bit, kind of like I'm trying to make a hamburger bun. Let's see how that works out. And then this one, I'm going to do, again, another hot dog shape in case you didn't see it. Fold it down once, fold it in on both sides. And you can do this on any size loaf. Remember, if you're making a big giant loaf, this is how you make a giant loaf. Push away from you and then roll toward you. Push away from you and roll toward you. And then I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to pick it up and I'm going to push in the sides a little bit just to neaten it up, and I'm going to lay it up here. Okay, this one I'm going to just roll it because we do want to eat a couple of these for dinner. And I don't want to have like weird smushy bread for dinner, because you'll see in just a little bit why. I'm going to make a few of them for ourselves that look normal. And this is good practice. You can use either hand. I'm trying my best here. I'm struggling a little bit today. Forgive me. And again, one more to show you how to put this in a hot dog shape or how to make this into bread. You can just roll it toward you like this. There's a lot of different methods, so we're just going to create some tension this way. Completely different method, but again, the goal is to get just a cylindrical shape. Man, I can't say that. That's my hick accent coming out, you guys. So just make a round shape that is oblong, looks like a hot dog. And again, here's the one that I smushed. Here's the one that I rolled, but then I just flattened a little bit. These are the ones that with tension that are circles. And these are the ones that are hot dog shape or a loaf of bread shape, just smaller. Now we just cover this, and you want to set it aside for at least 45 minutes or until double in size. When you have about 15 minutes left to rise, preheat your oven to 375 degrees. That's 190 degrees Celsius. Once preheated, you bake these for 15 minutes until golden brown. As you can see, the difference of the one that I flattened out versus the ones that I created tension. If you have lean dough, you always want to create an escape. Use a sharper knife than this. I'm like not sure why I picked this dullest knife in my cabinet, but I'm going to show you if you don't cut a slice into a lean dough what it looks like. It's actually kind of funny. This was one of my very first loaves. It just exploded out and looked like a little turtle. So if you have lean dough, which is basically flour, salt, yeast, and water, you need to cut a slit like this. Okay, 15 minutes later, these are really nicely golden brown. Can you tell which ones that are flattened out? If not, I'm going to show you right now after they cooled a while. This is the one I smushed, and as you can see, it's very, very dense. It's got a beautiful color to it. And you know this would make actually a really good hamburger bun, and this is kind of how I make hamburger buns, so that's how it goes. And as soon as I open up that bread, here comes my dog and says, "Hello, I want some." Now here's the one that I put a cut in the top, and I also made a lot of tension with it. Let's compare this. So this is one that I had rolled twice and created a little more tension. And as you can see, it's much taller in size, about, let's say, a third maybe. And here is a couple of the hot dog shaped ones. Can you tell which one I made less tension on? I'll let you be the judge. And I'm going to cut this open to show you, even though it's not as full as the other one, it's still a nice lovely crumb and it's very tasty. So if you don't create a lot of tension and your bread's a little flatter than you was wanting, don't worry, it still tastes really good because it's homemade, it's fresh, and you made it. So to all you out there that is having a little bit of problems with the rise of bread, try this out, see if you see any difference. And if you have any more questions, feel free to let me know. I'm glad to make a video on anything. So whether you have a small loaf, a tall loaf, a short little squat loaf, they all taste wonderfully delicious. You have a wonderful day and happy baking.